Hello there, it's Jay here from Jay's Vintage Junk, and following on from my last video and that little disaster I had with the Dansette, I couldn't leave it. After I made that video the other day, I started uploading it and the player was preying on my mind, so I must admit I should have really been doing some work, paid work, but I bit the bullet and decided I'd undo the damage that I did to the player, and I've done some more work to it as well, to be honest, so I can at least show it you playing. So here we are. I will just open the lid for you. As you can see, I'm down on the floor again now, so no chance of knocking the lid back down again. Let's just open it up, and there we go. As you can see, the arm is repaired. It was as simple as I said it was, really. Let me just grab something to point with. That'll do. It was as I said, really. All I've had to do was just glue that little bit of plastic there that had broken off, and then all I did was reinforce it at either side with a little bit of araldite, so that fixed that. What else I've done with the player, as you can see, if you remember me saying about that piece of vinyl paper that I had on the back of that old lid, well, I did manage, with the help of a hairdryer, to get that material off, and I used it to recover that was that horrible red. I know it doesn't look perfect because really it should be that colour, but that looks a damn sight better in a proper vinyl paper than it did in painted bright red. As well as that, I changed the bit of plastic grill up there, and actually I changed the speaker grill as well. This is extruded aluminium, sprayed gold. I rescued loads of that off old radiograms when they're not worth repairing, because it's really, really handy. It looks period. In fact, it's if you'd had one of these, say in the late 50s or 60s, and you'd broken the front grille on it, yeah, they were available as spare parts from Dansette, but your local little radio shop would have had sheets and sheets of this stuff in, and would have probably offered you as a cheaper option just to fit a piece of that as a speaker grill. So it's in period, though it's not exactly correct for the player. It is in period for a 1950s player. It's a lot more durable. It looks quite well with this player, really, so I'm perfectly happy with that. The front grille, when I actually took it out, it literally, the plastic was that shot on it, it just crumbled to bits. So I had to replace the front grille anyway. Seeing I was replacing that, I thought I'd make them both match, and I did the when I redid this, I did that in the same material. So that's good. And apart from that, I've cleaned the pots up. I did make a little bit of an error, actually. I said that the amplifier in this used a EL41 and a EZ40 valves. It doesn't actually. I must have been thinking about a different player. This actually uses, it's still an isolated amplifier. It still uses a mains transformer and it's properly earthed. But what this uses, it uses the UL41 output valve, which is generally a series strong heater output valve. It has a 40 volt heater and it's designed like Christmas tree lights in the AC/DC radios. All the heaters are connected in series like Christmas tree lights. So this, it has a mains transformer with a tap on it for 40 volts to power the heater, and then a HT tap to obviously to run the valve. It doesn't use a valve rectifier, it uses a little contact cooled selenium rectifier, which the previous owners actually bypassed and put a silicon diode in place. Now he has actually done it, well I say he, I don't know who originally worked on this player. They have actually done it correctly, because so many times you see a selenium rectifier, an old contact cooled rectifier, or the old copper oxide rectifiers, and someone's just stuck a silicon diode across them. Yes, that'll work but there's a difference in the efficiency. The old rectifiers weren't actually that efficient, and say you replaced one just straight with a silicon diode, you'll actually get a higher rectified voltage out of it, which is not good for your valves or the rest of the equipment. And the way you get around that is to put a little resistor, about 100 ohms to 200 ohm resistor, in series with the new diode. Many times you come across and no one's bothered, you stuck the diode in, but actually give them the juice, considering the soldering was a bit dodgy on this when I got it. They've actually done it correctly, and they've put 150 ohm resistor in series with a silicon diode. So yeah, it's all been done right. At least you won't have a selenium rectifier going off and stinking the house out. I've still to, I don't know whether I'm going to sell this one or keep it for myself. Yeah, I really don't know. If I do sell it, obviously I'll replace the plug. There's nothing actually really wrong with that plug. It's just I don't like selling things that don't have safety plugs on them, so I'll probably swap that. It has the original mains wiring, which is still in absolutely perfect condition. So that is that's good. I'll never bother replacing that. I only replace this if it's the old rubber stuff and it's starting to perish, or if it's been joined or it's damaged. If it's undamaged, even if it's the old colour codes and it's PVC, it's nice and flexible, there really is no point in changing it. So yeah, it's still got the nice original flex on. So let's we'll plug it in and power it up and let you have a listen to this one. Bear in mind that these really were one of the very cheap record players. Let's switch it on. Now you do get a bit of hum with these. I've checked the smoothing caps in it, and they're fine. It's just simply down to the fact that it's basically the simplest valve amplifier you can possibly get. One valve with about 3 components, and most of that's for the tone control. You do get a bit of background hum with these, but there's not a lot you can do about that. It's all part of the character. Now let's see what I've got here. I can only play a tiny little bit of, in fact, wonder where that Wombles one I've got is. I might get away with that a bit more. Yeah, here it is. Bear in mind, these aren't the best records because they've been used for a very long time for testing. They aren't brilliant, but at least I can show it work. Let's set that to 45, and I was playing 78 on it before, so let's set that back to play. Now this is the I think it's the BSR S100 deck, this, and to start it, instead of moving in like that like you would on some of the modern ones, you pull it out like that. That starts the motor going. Now all we need to do is just bring the arm across, oops, lay it on the record. Well, you may already know it, but we're saying it again. As you can see, the sound's quite pleasant on it. Has plenty of volume. There are Wombles in America. I'll turn it down again. And you can see the tone works. And it doesn't crackle anymore. We've got Wombles everywhere. North, south, east and west. I'll turn that right down so I can speak over it. I'll leave the player playing because I don't think we'll get in too much trouble for that. So yeah, anyway, as I said before, the controls crackled a lot originally. They worked alright, but they had a lot of crackle in them. And this time I was actually lucky, and I gave them a shot service all, and they cleaned up fine. There's nothing wrong with them now, they'll last for quite a few more years. So yeah, I was quite lucky with them. Sometimes they clean up with a shot service all, sometimes they don't. Apart from that, one other thing that I did now, I don't know whether you've noticed, when I had the player before, the fixings, the metalwork here, were all mismatched. It had, well, most of them had these chrome washers on them with modern Phillips screws like that, and I absolutely hate seeing modern Phillips screws like that on a vintage piece of equipment like that. Now, and they were all mismatched. They were different lengths, different thicknesses. They were a mess. So what I did is I nipped a B&Q today, and I picked them up. So we've got some brass screws and some brass cup washers for them. Now the only problem with these, if I get some out, is they're far too bright. You put them on a vintage player, they stand out like a sore thumb. Now if you look at them on the player there, they look a little bit different. And what I do, you've got a few ways of doing this. There's a chemical you can buy called tourmaline, and you put that on the brass and it has the same effect. It basically ages the brass. Now I have had tourmaline in the past, I don't have any at the moment, and there's a little trick you can do, basically does the same thing. And what you do is you get a pie case. Now what you need is a pie case that's been used. So if you get your pie from your chippy or anywhere like that, where it's had your steak and kidney pie in it, it's got that little bit of grease in the bottom. You get your brass screws and your cup washers and you throw them in there with that little bit of fat in the bottom, and you get a blowtorch and you just heat them up, probably for no more than a minute, just slowly playing a bit of heat over them, so that fat melts basically and burns off. And as it burns off, it basically tarnishes the brass, and you can make brand new brass look 40-50 years old. And that's what I've done with the brass screws on here, just to tone them down a bit and just make them look a little bit more in keeping with the player. Anyway, as I've been talking all that, as you can see, the record player is finished. It gets to the middle like that and it just shuts off. The amplifier is still all running and everything. So these really were the cheapest of the cheap players. So just lift that off and you'll hear, you know, the amplifier is still on. It doesn't shut off on these like on some players. So anyway, what we'll do is just finally, I'll just play a quick 78 on it, so let you hear this playing a 78. Put my rubbishy wombles away. Now this is a very worn 78, because I must admit I played this on my wind-up gramophone more than once. It's not very kind to records. It was a scrap record anyway, but it'll show the unit playing a 78. So we put it on like that. We turn the speed selector over to 78, and now this is a turnover cartridge. So what we do is we flick the cartridge over to its 78 position, and again to start it we pull it back like that. That starts the record spinning. We then pick the arm up and place it on the record. And as you can hear, it's a very worn record, but there we go. So yeah, I'm quite pleased with that. Like I said, the amplifier's all working. I'll finish that off now. All we do, just turn it into the middle to shut the record off and bring it back, and we can cancel it like that. Just turn that off. Yeah, so I'm quite pleased with that, really. From what it looked like the other day when you saw it, like I say, I've probably spent about an hour on it, an hour and a half maybe, with the trouble I had getting that vinyl cloth off the old board, but I think it was well worth it. It certainly looks better than that horrible piece of red painted wood anyway. All I've really got to do now is I need to find a mat for it. There should be a rubber mat on here, but it's very, very common with this particular deck. I think it was a red rubber, and every one of these decks I've ever seen's either had a replacement one or it's missing completely, like on this one. So I'll source some kind of turntable mat for it. stop any skating. Sadly, there's nothing I can really do about these. It's where someone in the past caught it with a soldering iron. It certainly wasn't me. I'm more careful when I'm soldering. But yeah, someone's caught these with their soldering iron. It's definitely soldering iron marks, that, because it's raised up and it's slightly blackened around it. So that was just an engineer, probably the guy that got this thing going before I did, was being a bit careless, and he's obviously caught that with his soldering iron. But there's nothing I can do about that, unfortunately. Apart from that, really, it's not a bad player, this. This is what I would call an honest player. It shows signs of wear and age, and it shows the odd bodge and repair it's had over the time. I mean, the lid has fading on it, it has the odd paint mark on it, bits of scuffing on it. If I was being an absolute purist, it'd probably need recovering, but I like some of these players to look like this. I mean, you know, it's got honesty about it. And it's not a bad player. There's a little bit of a repair I did on the side there. I don't know if you can pick that out. I don't even think you can. I think I did quite a good job there. There was 2 holes drilled in the side of it here. Let's just see if I can get a bit closer with the camera, see if you can actually pick them up. Oh, I think you can just make them out. Right here, there was 2 holes drilled. I presume where someone's had an input and an output to it sometime in the past. Anyway, what I did is I filled them with a bit of filler, and then I managed to cut a little piece of this out from inside, from underneath the deck, where it won't be seen, and I actually cut out little squares there where the holes were, and I dropped 2 little pieces of the vinyl paper in, and I'm quite pleased with that. You really can't see I've had to do a repair there. So yeah, anyway, I thought I'd show you that, seeing I actually bit the bullet and decided to do a bit more work on it. It's now all playing, so I think I'll leave that at this for now. So thanks for watching, and goodbye.